And we're into it.
Boom. Here we
This
go.
is good. Optimistic Struggles, episode number 1. Let's go.
Yee.
Cool. Devon, good to have you on board. This was, I guess I've been running a few podcasts in the past and really wanted to have a good mate to share the ride with. So it's good to have you here.
Someone that you can banter with a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, I've known you for a while. It's been, what, a decade and a half?
Oh, please don't make me remind me how old I am. Yeah, we would have met when we were like year 10. So how was that 2010? No, even 09. That was 09 when we
Little
met.
scrawny fellas running around at the pool.
I wouldn't consider myself scrawny, but
well, I definitely was. I was a bit smaller back then. Need to hit the gym a few more times, but I guess that's what happens.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
no, we've had a few adventures, haven't we?
Oh, just a couple. Some we might not want to talk about. Some we may want to talk about.
Okay, why don't you kick us off and tell everyone a little bit about yourself? I'll do the same, and then we'll just see where the conversation leads.
All right, that sounds good to me. So my name's Devon. I currently own a gym called the Fitness Portal. Don't plan on not owning it anytime soon. Don't know why I said currently. The Fitness Portal. We have a current gym in Petone, and we're about to start our second out in Tawa. So that's going to be pretty exciting. So that's my main kind of focus at the moment. I do Mental Health Mondays, hence the hashtag Mental Health Mondays. I started that 2 years ago for mental Movember. I did it for a mental health fundraiser, and it kind of just never stopped because I got quite a lot of good feedback from that. So everyone was like, yo, you should keep doing posts, but not every day because you're annoying when you do it every day. So it became Mental Health Mondays instead of the daily mental health tips. And I got a little bit of background in radio, hence the wanting to be part of a podcast, make my broadcasting degree actually useful in some form and not waste thousands of dollars from that I paid. And sports is the life. Do Olympic weightlifting, dabble in CrossFit, running. Currently training for a half marathon and trying to get to the New Zealand's stage for Olympic weightlifting. Previously played underwater hockey, and that's how I met you.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's really all I am. That's just
how long were you radio for?
I think I did. I started when I was 18, left when I was 23, so 5 years. So I did 2 years study, or 2.5, because half of it was an internship, and then was in Christchurch and Dunedin for about 3 years until I got made redundant. Because there was a massive switch up, and I decided that I'd take the redundancy rather than reapply for my job, and decided to work for a gym.
Man,
here we are.
City Fitness. Here we are.
Yeah.
Bango Sango.
City Fitness.
Yeah.
Fitness Portal. Bamboo's Fitness. Remember that? That was.
Yeah. Hard Out. That was one of your first fitness brands.
Yep. Yeah, that was.
How come you changed
it?
How come you didn't stick with Bamboost? What happened there?
No, because my business partner Tim came on board with me, and he was Fox Fitness. I was Bamboo's Fitness. We decided that instead of choosing one of our names, we'd come up with a brand new name. And we, after many months of debating, came down to the Fitness Portal.
Main.
Yeah.
We got Matt Sisson.
Hey, Matt.
He's right in. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the hockey crew. Gold. What's Matt Sisson doing these days?
Isn't he? By the way, he's a real estate agent.
Yeah, I keep seeing a couple of his posts around the place.
Yeah. No, he comes to the Fitness Portal. I train him every Wednesday morning.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's good to hear when the crew that you haven't hung out with for 10 years, they're still kicking about, Yeah,
he actually said if you play underwater hockey North Islands this year, he'll turn up and play. So a lot of pressure out on the line for you.
That's what I love about you, Devon. I haven't been in the game for 10 years, and every year you hit me up and you say, come come on, Jace, get back in the pool. It's
Oh,
it's nice
everyone.
that you haven't forgotten about me, but I don't think I'll be as useful as I was back in the day.
That's all right. You can be useful at the after party.
That's true. We always win the function, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. For probably 5 years, Devon and I were hanging out pretty solidly while we were training for pretty high level underwater hockey. So yeah, that's where he laid our foundation. That's where we met and hung out, and we're probably catching up 6 times a week, 5 times a week.
The amount of times that we're training together would probably be a good hour or 2 training sessions at the pool.
Yeah.
Getting going again to the curry after training from it was Thai. Oh,
yeah,
good Thai food.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. For those who don't know me, on Devon's side of the equation, so a little bit about me. I grew up in Wellington, got into, I suppose I try a range of different sports, and underwater hockey was the one I vibed most with. I met a good crew. I enjoyed being in the pool and chucking it on the weirdest gear of any sport that is known to man, and holding my breath.
It's a real sport.
Yeah, it's a real sport for those of you that don't know. But yeah, we had a few tournaments around the place around New Zealand, and then we were lucky enough to go to a couple of Trans-Tasmans over in Australia, and also go to Worlds in the Netherlands. So that's how Devon and I know each other. And then after that, I went over to Israel. That was part of my gap year after school, and I volunteered on ambulances. Had a wicked time there. Then jumped across to uni. And I was originally going for medicine, but I didn't make it. So I studied sport and exercise science, which was epic. And then after I graduated, I went into running sports events around the country and had a lot of fun with that. Still do it part-time, but obviously COVID has had an impact on that sort of organization. But we keep pushing on. And now I'm in uni for a second round, and I'm studying medicine. So 10 years later, still have that focus and energy in that arena. But yeah, that's my background.
So how long were you in Israel for?
So that time, because I've been to Israel twice, for that one, I was there for about 5 months.
Oh yeah, that's right.
5 months. So the first month and a half, probably, I was on what's called a kibbutz. Do you know what a kibbutz is?
No idea.
So kibbutz is like this like self-sustaining community. So it's like a bunch of people that get together, and they have everyone does a job around the kibbutz. So I was working in the fields and the orchards, but there'll be some people that work in the kitchens. There'll be some people that work in laundry, some people that work in the schools, So it's quite a large community, and everyone pitches in and everyone gets taken care of. So it's pretty cool for travelers such as myself, and it got me on the ground, and it allowed me to meet a bunch of people and just get used to the scene when I was a newbie in Israel, because it's a pretty different culture over there. So it's everything's taken care for you, but you have to like contribute in some shape or form. I actually got an allergic reaction in the orchard, so they downgraded me to go work in the laundry with the old women while my face looked like a balloon and I had like warts all over it and stuff. But I felt completely fine, but I looked atrocious.
Surely you have photos.
No photo. There must be a photo somewhere, but like I don't know where it is. It's deep in cyberspace. If you can fish it out somewhere, you can have it.
Dark side of the web.
That's what I did for a month and a half. Learned a bit of Hebrew, and then jumped onto the ambulances after a course, and had some cool experiences, and here we are.
Yeah. Back studying med.
Yeah. Yeah. So, should we talk about a little bit about optimistic struggles? What like
Yep.
what actually means? Give a little bit of
What does it
context.
mean?
It's a great
Does-
question. What does optimistic struggles mean? Okay, I'll kick it off.
You
So
do.
to me, like I like the dichotomy of like you have like optimistic people, but they're going after things that are really challenging, they're really hard, so they have their struggles at times. It can be a range of different struggles, whether it be I guess it's just the punches of life, right? Everyone knows people are busy, they've got stuff to do, you've got to think about your health, you've got to think about finances. If you have family, you've got to prioritize them. Everyone has like priorities, I guess, and how to balance that while staying optimistic. And sometimes things don't go your way, and that's been happening more commonly now that we're in the COVID arena. But yeah, I guess that's what, a little bit about what I think of optimistic struggles.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. It's the what I liked about the name that we kind of came up with is that everyone does struggle, and so many people look at look at someone who's really happy-go-lucky, and oh well, everything just falls into place for them. But behind the scenes, quite often, people are dealing with a lot more than what you realize. So you could be the happiest person in the world, but behind closed doors, you're actually fighting every day to get where you need to be. And struggle is one of those ambiguous terms. Like, what is someone's definition of struggling? I guess so. One person's variation of struggling could be very different to someone else's opinion of struggling. So I like it because it can really just talk to everybody can relate to struggling at some point in their life, and people like me and yourself, well, we are optimistically annoying.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of
and
people
that's
say
the
to
truth.
me, yeah, a lot of people say to me, well, if you, why do things seem to go right? And they don't go right all the time. It's just if you're looking at something like Facebook or Instagram, you're only going to see the highlights reels. So having an optimistic person kind of open up about their struggles can also be quite I think it might be quite good for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely been some struggles. We've both failed at different things. We're not
Mm-hmm.
perfect. These are our experiences. I wouldn't term us like, or I wouldn't term myself experts, like,
Oh,
or an
hell no.
expert. Like there's a long way to go before like I get on that level. Devon
Yeah.
has his own experiences, but we're two young Kiwi guys that just, I guess, want to spin a yarn, say
Yeah.
what's on our mind, just talk about a few different topics and see where it all leads.
Might be serious, might not be serious, might be both.
Probably
Probably
not
if it's
that
serious.
serious.
If it's serious, we'll probably make inappropriate jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
One of our
Well,
coping mechanisms.
yeah, well, we all have our moments. I annoy a lot of people because when things don't go that right, like I try and be optimistic. There's like I've got this thing where like no challenge can't be overcome, like all that sort of optimistic thinking. And so when
Yeah.
things go wrong, I'm like, yo, let's go. This is like kind of funny. Like let's
Yeah.
like let's make a joke out of this thing. It's a coping mechanism. That's how I roll. But like I've pissed a lot of people off in my time for doing that, for not taking things as seriously as I should. Like there are things that I take serious, like health's a big one. That's why like I've orientated my life largely around health. If
Mm.
someone's like sick, if someone's dying, that's the big stuff to me. But if we're late in traffic, if people can't get their stuff together, like they're stressing a little bit, like that little bit of dysfunctionality in life, like I don't know, I just play it off. It's like there's bigger fish to fry, that's not such a big deal. So like I'm often the annoyingly optimistic one in the conversation. which does annoy people at times. But that's something I've got to work on.
I mean, it could be seen as a bad thing, or it could be seen as a good thing. It doesn't mean
Depends
you have
who depends on what end of the conversation you're on. For me, it's great.
Gotta read the room, man. Read the room.
Yeah, hard out. But we all have strengths and weaknesses, I'd rather be happy than not, in these situations. But read the room. It's a big skill.
Yeah, it's a hard one to do. But I definitely agree that sometimes you just got to have a bit of fun when you're in a dire situation. Like, if there's nothing you can do, you might as well just enjoy what you've got. Like, enjoy the moment.
Hard out. So we thought we'd talk about success in a pandemic. That was because it's so topical at the moment. We'd kick off with a big topic in our first episode, and then
shoot high and then just slowly fall back.
Shoot high, see if we can reach a conclusion from this huge discussion, and maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just go around in circles discussing ideas, but that's okay too.
100%.
And then just spin a yarn about it. So what's your thoughts on the matter, Dev? Open this up.
I made a post today. I'll read it out for you, because every Monday I'll chuck up a mental health Monday, up to tip 96 actually.
Can you bring it up on the screen?
I probably can. It's a valid point. I'm new to this whole podcasting thing.
Yeah, we're playing with this platform like 5 minutes before we went live, and Dev said, "Oh, I can share my screen," and I was like, "Oh, can you, mate? Oh, we'll give it a go, shall we?" So we're new to this whole thing. We're quite fresh. We'll see what we can do. But is it all ready, Dev?
Yeah, we're all ready.
All right, I'm gonna pop it up. Look at that.
Look at that. So this is my beautiful profile on my Facebook. So as you can see here, I thought we'd talk about the elephant in the room with myself and Jason starting a podcast tonight. That's obviously the prelude to it. But my idea of a success in a pandemic, well, success is very ambiguous. Something in the eye of the beholder, really. But regarding the pandemic that we're currently going through, success could be anything from getting to work each day, or not infecting your loved ones with COVID, or anybody really with COVID, because that's a bit of a thing you don't want to be trying to do. And we as humans have a tendency to compare ourselves to others and belittle our own achievements, especially in New Zealand. We're classic for the old tall poppy syndrome, and we don't want to kind of brag and be too cocky. But then at the same time, we're putting pressure on ourselves to perform and be better and better. And so for me, my own experience of this kind of last few months, I've been starting my own gym, been working long hours, dealing with the stress of the pandemic. And then, so my training for my Olympic weightlifting, my running, it's all been slipping. And so I haven't been able to perform at my best, haven't been able to get my training sessions in. And so it's a case of being easy on myself and realizing what my priorities are at the moment. So what comes first? And for me, the big thing is that my big focus at the moment is obviously getting my second gym up and running, and making sure that my health is at the top of its line, because if I get sick with COVID, chances are I've had pretty bad glandular fever in the past. I had a concussion last year. So I don't really want to be taking myself out with long COVID. So my goal is to stay as healthy as possible, have the best immune system, try and keep stress free as much as possible. So that's my idea of the success, is really just staying healthy as possible and not beating myself up if I don't make my scheduled 6 training sessions. And if I don't get a PB, then that's not the end of the world. But it can be so easy to put that on yourself and be like, why am I not doing as well as I was 2 years ago? Like, why am I not being better at this? And it's just like, well, kind of look around, look at what's happening, and then you'll get an idea of why things aren't going the way you want them to, and be like, right, I'm going to focus on this like little tiny aspect of my life, and focus on that being what I want to focus on. I said focus a lot of times just then.
All good. All good. Nah,
Yeah.
that's all good stuff. Yeah. What do you think the most challenging time about the pandemic has been for you personally?
It wasn't so when we were in lockdown, I actually found it pretty easy because it was very, this is what's happening. Like you're in a lockdown, you're going to be hanging out with either your flatmates or your housemates or whatever for this amount of time. Boom, done. It was actually the second lockdown I found a bit more hard because it was okay. We got another week. We got another week. We got another week. We got another week, and there was no certainty. And I think the hardest part about the pandemic is the uncertainty. So there's no definite end. So, for example, at the moment, we kind of know what's going on, but at the same time, at any point, we might, there could be a change. There could be another, what do you call them? Variant. Another variant of the COVID could come out, and that completely changes all the plans. So there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment, and I think that's the hardest part for me is not knowing. I can't create a foolproof plan because anything can change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Would
make
you agree?
plans when things get mixed up, things change around. It's
Yeah.
I think that's been a challenge for a lot of people. Like the New Zealanders, I think, are quite resilient, but everything like the rules have gone out the window, right? There's nothing that like everyone's on edge because they're like, okay, what's going to happen this month? You know,
Yeah.
like what's the next thing? Like everything is there's just no certainty.
Well, because what's it like for you being in Dunedin with the all the hostels being hotspots and
So, disclaimer: I'm actually in ISO right now. I'm household
oh really?
contact.
Oh no!
So look. This is what I had to do last week. Everyone see that? What's that?
Oh, you're negative.
Oh, negative. Yeah. Boom. Negative.
Ah,
2 days ago, I was negative. So who knows where I am now? Nah, I think I'm
keep it up.
negative. I'm asymptomatic, but I'm not going out. So, like everyone, like knows someone that has COVID in Dunedin.
Yeah.
Because students being students, they like to hang out, they like to party, they come to Dunedin for a certain lifestyle, and they've been coming up with weird and wonderful ways to try and have that lifestyle. So I'll give you an example. Right? So a lot of the students, like their parties can't go on, or not to the same extent, right? So the rationale was that if there's positive people there, then you might pass it on to someone that is negative. Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
what do students do? They think of loopholes, right, to get around it so they can still have a good time. So they're like, okay, we're not going to have any negative people coming to this party, right? So they advertise a COVID positive party, right?
Oh shit!
That's the thinking that students go through, for better for worse. Pretty innovative, but obviously not what the healthcare professionals want happening, right? So that's the sort of things that students come up with. So they're an enthusiastic bunch, that's for sure. We like to have fun, but Dunedin's dead compared to like where it was 2 years ago. O week is orientation week. It's the week before university really gets rock and rolling. It's just full of intro lectures, and there's clubs and socks day, clubs and societies day, and everyone joins these sports clubs, and there's lots of activities going on, and it's a pretty cool week to be involved with. But none of that happened this year. Everything was on Zoom. All of our lectures, they're remote, so nothing. Like we're just having no human to human interaction. We're having our Zoom classes and we have our tutorials, and but like there's always these awkward Zoom interactions that wouldn't happen if you were actually face to face with people. Like, is my sound working? And then the tutor might ask a question, and they may be like, so who can answer this question? And everyone just pauses because like no one's been singled out and no one wants to talk over each other. And then like everyone jumps in at the same time and everyone stops abruptly. So it's just all that kind of
it sounds
nonsense
so
that
awkward.
carries on. Like the actual content is still there, but half the uni experience is getting to know your mates and having like that interaction with people who are interested in the same topics as you, and different people might have different questions, so you like sort of vibe off each other and share expertise or knowledge. And so that element is missing from our classes. But like the university, to their credit, they're doing the best they can. Like they've had to come up with these ways of educating that they didn't have to before. There's just everyone's adapting, right? So the university is no different. But in terms of like just zooming out a little, like I think being in tertiary education is quite a good place to be at the moment. Like you haven't got, in terms of being a student, we haven't got the fluctuations of like, will I lose my job or not, or is my sector being affected? You know, you go to class, you do the work, you are learning for the most part, and you just haven't got those pressures that other people around the country might have if we were professionals, or if we were in the working sector. You know, we still have to work. Like we're students, we have no money. That's just a fact of who we are. But I guess those pressures aren't there. Like most 99% of students don't have mortgages. We haven't got families to feed. We haven't, like, there's some people have families at uni, but for the most part, it's a young population just out of school, and spending a few years in a new city, and we're all learning different topics. You know, it's like
I really enjoy how you're including yourself in the young people. It's
yeah, bro. I'm stretching it for as long as possible.
not quite 30 yet, so you can still claim it.
Yeah, I'm still in my 20s, bro.
I can make it to 12.
Yeah, exactly. But nah, I know I've been told I have a young face, so that gets me far around here.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think I'd quite get away with it like you do.
Oh, just have a shave, mate. You'd be fine.
Go back to 18 again. We're all good.
Yeah, exactly. But nah. Like in terms of the pressures that people are facing around the country, like uni's a pretty good spot to be. You know, we have study links set up, so like we get a little bit of money coming in through the student loan. There's like, we just haven't got the same pressures, you know, as a lot of people around the country do.
But then at the same time, learning under that environment can't exactly be easy. Like for some people, it'd be a blessing because they hate dealing with people, and they're like, "Sweet, I can just be at home. I can study. This is great." Whereas for people like myself and yourself as well, being extroverted, it's like, I can't study in a room by myself. I have to have people around me, whether they're talking or not. I need someone near me, or at least something in the background. So being stuck on a Zoom call is pretty.
It's funny you bring that one up, because it's been a big challenge for the university trying to navigate that, because like you say, there's people who love it and people who hate it, and how do they help the people that hate it? I suppose you've, like, this is how I think of it. So every personality test I've taken, I'm like off the scale with extroversion. You know, I'm like, I need people all the time. To the point where I'm annoying at times. But what? That doesn't ring any bells. But I figured out, like, for myself, I just need to have like stimulation, right? Whether that's exercise or I need my brain stretched, education. I need people. Like I just like those stimulating environments, you know, and that's where my energy comes from. That's why I like hanging out with people. So what I figured out for myself is, okay, if like we take that component away of like that people to people interaction. I've got to replace it with something else that keeps me just as stimulated, right? So yeah, this is why I'm podcasting, right? Like, it's just it seems like the natural progression. I need to like have things on the go where I'm talking to people. Like
just on a I was just going to say, just so people can really understand how much you need to be stimulated, is how many people did you live with in Auckland? You're in that Auckland flat. It was what, like 12 people or something crazy like that?
Yeah, one of my first flats after university, because I lived in the halls for my first few years. So after I graduated from uni, I went into a flat. The flat before it, actually, there was me and two others, right? And that one lasted a month because like I was actually going to study postgrad and like had this plan, but then I quit postgrad. Those two people were doing honors as well, so we were going to be like, I guess, quite a studious bunch. That was sort of the culture of the flat, but like I needed more people. It wasn't enough for me. I didn't actually do postgrad in the end that time, so I pulled my application and I met this guy at an entrepreneurial meetup, and then he was talking about his flat, and it was filled with ambitious young people that enjoyed doing business, and yeah, it was called. He termed it the co-working palace, and I thought, oh, this could be up my alley. Let's look into this a bit deeper. So I went to visit the flat, and there was like 12 other people living there, and like big living space, and it was sort of like a mansion. It was the worst house in the best street, essentially. There was like lots of mansions around the place, but like ours was falling apart. It had a few infrastructure issues, but I had the time of my life there. Like I lived there for probably 2.5 years. I really got on with the crew there. We had pretty good times. Every so often we'd throw a good party, and but everyone was motivated and everyone had their things going on. Real diverse bunch, real diverse ways of thinking and being and doing, but yeah, I need that stimulation. So what I found over the years, as I've just progressed, I suppose, is like when I was younger, I needed the people, and I needed to like just be surrounded all the time, and I'd go knocking on my mates' doors while they were studying and stuff, and yeah, I was probably a pain in the ass a bit, but then as I got older, like my ambitions and my like goals and my priorities started to take over, and now like I replaced that time with being stimulated with like problem solving and trying to get stuff done, and that, so there's been like a 10-year shift, I suppose, where so I don't mind being alone now compared to back in the day, but yeah, it's been a transition. So now fast forward to learning online remotely, like I suppose I'm all good with it, more than some other people. But I'm always interacting with people in the background, like I'm organizing like groups for different classes, and making sure that like we have our chat groups and Messenger, and making sure that like we can just stay in touch in that way, just have those communication lines, so that then like there's some people on the other end, and then hopefully when we come out of this dark age of Zoom times and we can actually go face to face again, then we know a few more people around the place. That's the goal.
Isn't it kind of ironic that we call this like a dark age of Zoom times, but like 20 years ago, this would have been so phenomenal. Like, oh my God, everyone's learning online. You don't even have to leave your house. Like, this will never happen. And now it's like, oh my God, I can't wait to go back to being in a classroom again.
Like this pandemic, like it could, like we never want a pandemic, but I'm so glad we have technology to get us through it. The amount of Zoom calls I make, the amount of messages I send electronically, I can talk to people on the other side of the planet in an instant. Like it's a godsend. It's pretty epic, So yeah, I think I think it's always good to think of the positives, but also if there is a problem, think of like solutions to that problem. If you need that face-to-face contact, just like get on the phone, get on Messenger, start a FaceTime. That's sort of how I think about.
Yeah, and I think it's knowing what you personally need to make things happen. So for me personally, it's I know I can't really work that well unless I've got. I'm similar to you in a way that I need to be stimulated. I need to have a focus, because otherwise I just procrastinate. And I've never cleaned so much in my life when there's a job I don't want to do. I'm like, suddenly there needs to be cleaning done. But yeah, so I guess it's just a case of figuring out. And then for me as well, when I get stimulated is not the right word for it, but beat down by all the things I've got going on. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I went to Kmart the other day and I bought a whiteboard that's a to-do list. And I've just got this to-do list sitting in my office and then just writing down all the things. Then as I do it, I get a mean sense of satisfaction just crossing off this little note. You don't have to use a whiteboard. I tried using a phone. I'd forget that it's there. Like on the list on my phone, I tried using Asana, which is like a to-do list on like a website homepage type thing. Forgot that it's there. Like if it's not in front of me, it's forgotten about. So if I'm ever on a diet, I just hide the food so I can't see the food, and then I don't eat it. So it's out of sight, out of mind is a great technique that I use for pretty much anything that I want to. So yeah, I think it's definite. Using, what's the word for it? Using the tools that you have and understanding how you work. So whether you're a student or working in a job, and if you're getting a bit overbeared, finding a way to have coping mechanisms, I guess, would be the way I'd go about it.
Yeah, hard out. Like, it's funny you say that about lists. I need a list as well. I use Notion. Notion's great if you've ever heard of it.
Nope.
It's just online software. I've bookmarked my Notion pages as I needed. But it's pretty epic. It can it's really good for students because like you can build out your notes and like it works in weird and wonderful ways, and it's very functional, and you can customize it to how you want your workflows to be. So yeah, students, if you're listening, jump on Notion. It's pretty epic. Yeah, they're not sponsoring this video.
We don't have any sponsors yet.
Yeah, we have 0 sponsors. So if anyone is looking for a podcast to sponsor, give us a call. But I digress. Yeah, that list. It's yeah. I think it's key because yeah, I think we're like wired to fix problems. Like a lot of people like avoid problems out of their life or struggles, but I think we're built to try and like overcome mountains that we set ourselves, like overcome goals. So if the unhappiest I've been like in my life is when I've had nothing to do, you know, and nothing productive to do. Like it's just a little bit of how I'm wired. Maybe, but I think intrinsically a lot of people are like this as well. That when you're working towards some goal that you set yourself, you feel like you're climbing the ladder, you're excelling your life, you're moving the needle, whatever you want to call it. I think we're made to do that, and I think that whenever you have those goals, whatever it is, like relationships, physical, like mental, you might be in academics, whatever it is, like you just need to have those big goals that you can work towards every day and constantly. Like, and those goals can shift and they can change, but have a North Star, you know. I think that's really important.
On the relationship, because you mentioned that, I would like to differentiate. Something I've learned in the past is you shouldn't have your goal as trying to fix their problems for them. That gets you into hot water real fast. From a little bit of personal experience. So what I've learned after many years of dating and failing quite a few times. I've now secured myself a lovely fiance, and I've learnt. Thank you, thank you. But what I've learned is that it's not about fixing their problems. It's actually about trying to listen. Sometimes I'm not so great about listening, but the part where you talk about having goals is making sure that you go to like you focus on big events and stuff like that. So like they talk about how you're not going to have it gets boring and you lose the honeymoon period. So I reckon that's because you get engaged and you get married and then you've got nothing to kind of be excited for. So my theory, and I've still got many years to test this theory, is to always have something that you and your partner are working towards to have as a goal yourself. So like, don't make a relationship just status quo. Make it exciting. Have something to work towards every single year, whether it's going away on a trip, whether it's um, building a house or having more kids. But don't go down that track of being like, oh, we need 6 kids now. It's probably probably not the best goal to have, unless that's what you really want. But yeah, so I
Depends who
reckon,
you are. Eh?
yeah, true. But
No judgment.
make sure
Like,
that you've got the necessary means to support those 6 children.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Only happiness. Eh?
yeah,
Here, yeah. The sort of thinking I've come to is like, you can only like, you don't have to change others at all. Like it's your priority is yourself. It's not a
yes,
selfish thing to think like, okay, these are my goals. These are like, this is where I want to head. These are my dreams and aspirations. And like your if your partner should support that, and you should support them and their goals and aspirations,
100%.
and that like, you're two different people. I don't think like you have to like marry yourself in a sense. You don't have to find someone exactly like you, and they're on the same buzz, and like
Oh,
they think the
flash.
same as you want someone who challenges you, who like, every relationship is different. Like,
Mm.
as long as you're good people doing like good stuff, like, who cares what the relationship is about? Um, it's all like, relationships are so individual that like, it's it's it feels funny and weird to me, like, to try and give advice on it, because everyone's
Yeah,
going through their own relationship, and the only people who should really have input, I think, is into those relationships are the people themselves. They should have good communication, because then they can actually work out their problems, work out what their relationships actually is about, and then just go from there. Um, we've got a question. Have you talked about the future of sustainable businesses while operating in an increasingly hostile COVID environment? Interesting. Big question.
no, we have not.
Devon, thoughts?
Well, I would say that I'm currently working on a rather sustainable business, being in the gym industry, because I don't think health is really going anywhere anytime soon. Um, but whether the COVID environment's becoming increasingly hostile, you could say the opposite, that it's actually um, COVID's starting to calm down a little bit. But then on the other side, you could go on the whole, there's a potential economic crisis and rah, rah, rah. So as a business owner myself, it's more about kind of being prepared for anything that's coming, and understanding, well, one, having a contingency plan, understanding, like, knowing what you're going to do if certain things happen. So we were prepared for having short staff at the moment, which we do have. We've got six of our 10 staff in isolation at the moment. So we're running on bare minimum. But we're making it work. We've got a 24-hour gym. We can still have access. We've still got the cleaners able to come in and do their regular cleaning cycles. So making sure that your business, I don't know if I'm answering this question correctly on how the person's asked, but to make sure it's sustainable in a COVID environment, it's just having about a contingency plan and making sure that you are prepared. What do you think?
Sweet. Yeah, it's I guess every industry is different, every business is different, so they'll all have their individual challenges. I don't have my own business, but I've worked in a bunch of businesses and have been general manager of a couple. So I suppose I've got more of an employee hat, but also that management level sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just for a disclaimer out there. So yeah, I think I've worked in the events industry for the past bare half of a decade, and
Which has been hit pretty
obviously,
hard.
yeah, that's been a sector that's been hit very hard. We've actually in the background organised, I think it's 7 events, which have all been cancelled. So yeah, they're large scale events. Where our largest one had 15,000 people prior to COVID attending it. So yeah, we have had the ups and definitely the downs. So yeah, there's a lot that we've had to do to try and adapt and try and I guess you try and get through the best you can with the information you've got. So for example, we organized these events and we changed our financial structure a little bit. So we 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 came up with a structure where they would pay their deposits, which was quite minimal. That would lock their place into the event, and then we also once we had to cancel, a lot of the time we had to come up with different refund structures depending on what the attendees wanted. So I'll give you an example of what our refund structures were like. So we said that you could get a refund of 50%, and 50% of your entry fee would get carried over to the following year. We also said that you could hold 100% of the fees with us. We said you could get 100% of your refund back, excluding the deposit. And bear in mind the deposit was quite minimal compared to the entry fee. Or we said, because we're in the events industry and we've been hit quite hard, you have the option to donate those fees to our events, and we'd really appreciate it, but we understand everyone's in a different position. So we gave a number of options, and that way people could choose what was best for them. And we carried on. We adjusted. A lot of us are part-time workers, so we're probably not in the exact same boat as a lot of organizations, because we're quite nimble in how we operate, and so we're able to, I guess we're like a little speedboat. We're able to shift direction quite quickly, as opposed to like a big cruise liner, a big organization that has to just like they have the momentum, so they have a lot more overheads and costs for wages and expenses and whatnot. So that's how we navigated it. Yeah, and we're still pushing on. We've still got our challenges internally. We've had to adapt, and yeah, that it just depends on what industry. But I hope that answered the question. And yeah, I hope that you can navigate the industry you're in.
Yeah, I think adaptation is one of the biggest things that's come with COVID. Like every business has had to learn how to adapt a little bit better, especially hospo. Like I've got so much respect for the hospitality industry working under the restrictions that they've had to, and there's been some epic what's the word for it? I can't even think of the word. That's really annoying. Like new ideas. I was trying to think of a nice word for new
Yeah.
ideas, but yeah, so it's really impressive to see across the world what people have done, but especially New Zealanders, because we've got that classic Kiwi ingenuity, which is always awesome to see people pulling stuff out of the stops.
Yeah, I think that people who have an insight into like how tech works has had a huge advantage over those who haven't, because it sort of accelerated this like online world, or
Yeah,
there was a need to adapt and have this electronic payment system if you didn't already, or have
yeah,
contact tracing at your venues. There's been all this tech infrastructure that has your businesses just had to adapt and bring it all in, because it was one, financially, like it was advantageous if you did, and you had to survive through these COVID times. But two, like, it was the law. You had to have those QR codes. You had to have all those regulations put in place. So I think if it's just the nature of where we're heading, like that's only going to accelerate, and it's, I think, if business owners or businesses didn't have that nous before the pandemic, I think that was quite hard on them heading into it.
mm. Yeah,
You
definitely.
know?
It's been a pretty interesting ride the past 2 years, I think, for a lot of people. And I've obviously, being a business owner, you get to know a lot of other business owners, and it's really important, I think, to, if you are someone who's planning on starting a business, or you currently own a business, or you're self-employed, even if you're just a one man band, is getting a networking system going. And there's all sorts of different networking groups. You've got your BNIs, you've got your TNGs, and you've also just got, I think there's one that you talked about, like a leaders conference that you went to, Jason.
Yeah, I went to one a few years back. It was it was actually run through Rotary for young leaders, and it was really useful. Met
Yeah,
a lot of good people there. Not everyone was involved in business, but
yeah,
everyone was pretty ambitious around what they were doing. So it was pretty epic to just be around those sort of people.
yeah. And having contacts is super important, because you never know. It's quite often they say it's about who you know, not what you know. I agree to that to some points, but I also know that you need to have an understanding of your whatever industry you're in, because otherwise you're just going to be
Yeah, got to be
flailing
able
around,
to
not getting
deliver the
anywhere.
goods, eh? Can't just wing it.
Yeah, fake
And
it till you make it, right?
yeah, like I think at the start there's of businesses, like there's a bit of like you have to wing it a little bit. Like you can't be all over everything all the time, you know? It's just like you overcome one challenger, and then like there's marketing, and then there's finance, and then like there's all these things you have to take care of, legal, like infrastructure, operations. Like you can't be over everything. So there is a little bit of like fake it till you make it, but your prime
Yeah.
offering, like I think that you have to know a little bit about, because
Oh,
otherwise you'll
100%.
get out competed. You won't last.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think
it's
Matt's got a question.
Matt Gingen on the mix again. I know that you are going through a big upsize at the moment. Very cool move, but I would love to hear more about the process that you had to go through in this COVID climate. Was it different from opening the fitness portal originally? Thanks, Matt.
I think is that
Devon, take
directed
it
to you,
away.
Jason? Yeah, so yeah, it's been very, very different, opening up the second location compared to the first location. Obviously, we knew a lot more when it came to setup costs and all that sort of stuff. So when we first opened, we kind of underestimated how much it was going to cost. Like we knew it would cost a lot, but we didn't realize how much it was going to cost. So we actually struggled reasonable amount for the first couple of months. Had to go through a few processes that a few things that we didn't really want to do, but we had to survive. And with starting the second one, we were in a position where we heard about a gym out in Tawa closing due to the mandates. So we thought we'd see if we could jump on that bandwagon. Well, not that bandwagon. That's probably the wrong word to use. But we thought we'd you know see if we could take over that gym to keep it going. But they ended up folding over before we could get in because we moved a little bit too slowly. And then we heard about another potential place that was going to be relocating, and so we decided to have that conversation, and it kind of got the ball rolling. But we were hoping to actually be open already. The plan was to have the Tawa Fitness Portal opening the first week of March, and as obviously it's past the first week of March now, and we are yet to our open date's actually going to be the 19th of April. And we were prepared for COVID to throw spanners in the works, which is a lot to do with the due diligence that we had to do. Had to really make sure we had a COVID contingency plan, like what's going to happen if there's a lockdown, what's going to happen with the traffic light system, like how does that affect us, and will we actually be able to make enough money to keep the business running come April, and will we be able to have enough money to get us from March to April when we found out that we wouldn't be opening in March. And the reason we're not open in March is because of shipping delays. We've got equipment still currently on a boat somewhere in the ocean. We've we've had delays in flooring. We've had delays in our speaker systems. So it doesn't all run as smoothly as people like to say. And I'm always someone whose honesty is the best policy. But what I do know is that when we do open, it's going to be one hell of a party, because we got a gym 8 times the size of what we're currently working with, 1,300 square meters in total. So one of the biggest gyms in the Wellington region, and yeah, we've got a lot of hype happening at the moment in Tawa. There's a lot of people in Tawa who are looking for a gym that's that community feel and has that 24-hour access, and it's really just about making sure that we've got all of our T's crossed, I's dotted, and it's a bit, as much as it sounds cheesy, also relying on the community that we've already built to help promote us as well. And we've got a pretty awesome family at the fitness portal, so not just my family, even though most of them do go to it. We've created more of it's not really a community at the Petone branch. It's more of a family feel. Everyone knows each other. There's 20-year-olds talking to 60-year-olds and 90-year-olds talking to 30-year-olds. Like everyone's friend, and it doesn't matter who you are. You can come in and do a workout without getting judged, and that's what we're trying to bring to Tawa, because everyone deserves a space in the gym, and everyone deserves to be healthy. So that's kind of what we're relying on, and being fit and healthy is one of the best protections against COVID. So we don't think we're going to be going anywhere too soon.
That's so epic. Like you're expanding in like one of the toughest business climates, and like a physical location when there's been like in a brick and mortar business, and you're like, I'm so proud of you. You've done bloody good. Like I hope it all works out. Like obviously there's challenges to overcome. There's like it's a lot of hoops to jump through, like you say, with those supply chains. Like you packed a lot into that answer. There's the thing about, you mentioned businesses closing, and I think I read in the paper that 58% of hospo businesses are going to close over next year. That's a lot of businesses. It's an industry where we've got a coffee culture in New Zealand. Like that is massive. It's so big. I really feel for all those businesses, those family-run businesses that have put their time and energy into their project for their community. They feel the same way that you do about your gym. They feel about their businesses and serving the community. And it's pretty mind blowing that all those businesses have had to shut shop. And you also mentioned about having a good solid community behind you. That's what we're really lucky for with the events that I help to run. We whenever we open registrations, we have to close them pretty quick because we get wait lists, huge wait lists. In fact, we
All right.
probably always get double capacity. So we traditionally pre-COVID, we'd open probably 11 months in advance of the event, maybe a little bit less, maybe 10, right? So 10 months in advance of the event, and within 2 weeks, we'd be full. Like
All
it's
right. That's
yeah, and
awesome.
then we'd have wait lists. So if someone dropped out for whatever reason, then we could just pull someone up from the wait list, and we'd always know we'd have people at the event. Like, well, that's a
That's
pretty
so
unique
cool.
place to be in the events industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's because we've always we've always wanted everyone to just have the time of their lives, right? We run world-class sporting experiences for thousands of junior kids around the country and the world every year. So that was pre-COVID, but post-COVID, we've still got the same mission. Long term, we'll open up our borders and then we'll be back to the good old days. So, yeah, but it's so important to have that community behind you, because that's who you're serving. And when times are getting tough, like, and you're scratching your head over why you're doing all this, why is it worth it? They're the people that you need to think about at the end of the day. So yeah, good answer. Hopefully that answered the question, Matt. If you're still out there, but no, it's yeah, it's good answer, Dev.
Thank you.
Great answer.
Yeah, no, I think it's like you said, the community is definitely what keeps a lot of people who are in that smaller business going. And so, if you can support a local business at the moment, it's definitely something you should do. So, whether you need to decide whether you're going to go to get yourself a coffee, go pick a small business that might be struggling and try and help them out, because they're the ones that are suffering the most at the moment. We had 2 cafes shut on Jackson Street recently, and I'm not sure if it's to do with COVID, but my assumption is that COVID's just hit them pretty hard. And I mean, there's like 10 cafes on Jackson Street, so it's pretty tough climate to compete with. But yeah, 2 of them recently closed, which is pretty sad to see. So yeah, support local. That's big.
Support local. Yeah, support New Zealand. It's a big thing.
Yes.
I like everyone. Every time I go onto LinkedIn or Facebook, like there's a bunch of comments on different pictures, and everyone seems a little bit polarized. I understand that, like the really polarized people are the ones that will, like, they'll be the keyboard warriors and they'll say their thing and not hold back and all the rest of it. And there's, I guess we focus on the bad things because that's how we're wired, and like it's hard to put it out of our minds, right? But there is a sense around New Zealand that there's a bit of tension. Everyone's on the edge. There's business pressures. There's health pressures. Like COVID's running rampant now. It's pressures building up, right? So it's I've never been around long enough to really see anything like this to this extent. And yeah, there's just a different feel in the air. So yeah, if you can support New Zealanders, just whether you're for or against on different issues. Like I posted this on my page today because I saw it on it was actually a picture of a billboard. I'll see if I can bring it up. Shall I?
No,
Should I do a little
use,
bit of a search?
use the technology.
Use the tech. Yeah, we got the tools, so you use it. But essentially, what it said was for or against. Don't let it divide us. I thought it's a good message to put out. Here we go. Let's pull it up. So yeah, I thought it's pretty appropriate for this day and age. Here we go. Share screen. Chuck it on.
We'll get faster at this as we do it more.
Yeah, we're getting used to it. There we go.
There's some teething issues.
Absolutely. There it is, up on the board.
Oh, wow.
Simple message, easy as,
Yeah.
You got another
Definitely.
question, Dev? Maybe last one for the call.
Yeah, I reckon.
Everyone's
What do I
loving
think?
your answers.
The single most important key to a successful business. Oh, that is a tough question. That's a good question though. It, it's always going to be hard, depending to answer that correctly, because depending on what industry you are in, and also what your definition of successful is, as we talked about, being successful in a pandemic, it's pretty an ambiguous term on what successful actually is. But for me personally, a successful business is a company. Well, if you're looking at a financial or logistical side, it's someone who survives more than 5 years. If you're a business that survived more than 5 years, you've done pretty well. Most businesses don't last past the first year. A lot of businesses fail before 3 years, and then 5 years, kind of like you had enough where you can see the good and the bad, and you've learned your lessons, and you're probably going to be able to carry on. So from a business finance or a lifetime front, that would be me considering a successful business as anyone above 5 years, or even just someone who's made a decent amount of profit in a certain amount of years and sold off the business. That could be another way that would be considered successful. But the key to a successful business, in my opinion, is someone who delivers exactly what they say they're going to deliver and more. So it's more about undersell, over deliver, and providing your community, because I believe that every business should be providing to a community. It's not just about making money, but providing a really, really good service. Service is the most important thing when it comes to being good, because if you have one customer come in and they have a bad experience, they can go onto Google, they can give you a bad review, and that can ruin you. Whereas you could have 10 people say how great you are, but that one bad review will lower your ratings right down. So yeah, I guess short answer, after I did a lot of to and froing on what I actually thought was the answer. Service is the key to a successful business. So if you've got a customer service team, or if you've got sales reps, or if you've got receptionists, you've got to make sure that they are being the face of your business, and they're showing the rest of the world how awesome your business is. And staff.
Sweet.
Staff is good too.
Absolutely. One more question from the floor, and then we'll wrap it up. Optimistic struggles. Do you think you could discuss your top 5 tools for staying motivated and what you do on a daily basis to keep going through isolations and lockdowns? I think it is probably coming for everyone at some point. Fingers crossed it doesn't. Good question.
Very good question.
Devon, give a couple for the floor.
Top 5 tools to stay motivated. End goal. I'm always about having a goal. I've got like a goals board written up on my wall for my own personal like physical achievements, but then also having an end goal for business as well. I think as long as you've got something that you're working towards, then you can always stay motivated. And if that's no longer motivating, you need to revisit those goals and see if there's something else that's going to bring you back to the table. During isolations, routine as well. Those routine, having a goal set, those would be the 2 that come to the top of mind. Any other ones that you can think of, Jason? I'm trying to get to 5.
Yeah, like you're trying to get to 5. I suppose I've always been happiest when I'm healthy, right? Like it's like health is wealth. Like your body is the only thing that you have to put up with for your whole life, right? It's the vehicle which it's the vehicle that you operate within, and if that's like slowing down, if that's if you're not oiling it, if you're not putting the right nutrition in, if you're not like taking care of it, then then everything else gets affected. So that's
Mm.
your mental health, that's your finances, your relationships. Like my head just like turns cloudy and I can't think, and I'm not in a good mental space when I haven't exercised for at least 48 hours. That's just how I operate. There have been times where I haven't exercised within 48 hours. There's been a week where like weeks where I haven't, because I've been like stressed and I've been studying for exams or whatever, like but that's not the optimum. That's not what I want day to day. So health, take care of your body, make sure that you go for runs. It feeds into so many things like longevity, your lifespan, your mental health. Like you just operate better when your health is taken care of. And the best thing about it is like you can go for a run for free. You can do push-ups in your room for free. You don't like everyone's got 5 minutes on their hands. Try do as many push-ups as you can do, or like do a quick sit-up set. You know, like you don't need a gym necessarily to keep healthy. Sorry, Dev. Sorry,
I
I
disagree.
realize that's not the message, and it's not promoting your gym, but like that's like if I could give any advice, like just get moving, you know.
Yeah.
And that it's harder for some people than others. I'm lucky I'm wired in a way that I actually want to stay
Yeah.
active.
I
But
remember you waking me up at 5 a.m. one morning to go for a run when I stayed at your
oh,
place. I was like,
hell
"What
yeah,
are you doing?"
hell yeah. Like
You're like, "Run time." I'm
that's
like, "No."
that's it, just how I'm wired, right? So yeah, but what I would say for the people that aren't inclined to go for a run at 5 a.m., which I don't know might be the majority. Yeah, that like it's about momentum, right? So the first time it'll suck. There's been times when I haven't exercised for like 3 months, and that first time I'm just like, oh, you know, like
Yeah.
but you go to the gym, you work out, you lift some weights, and then your body hates you for doing it 2 days later. You've got DOMS, you're hurting, you're sore, you're like climbing up the stairs, your legs are heavy, knees weak, arms are heavy, mum spaghetti. But like seriously, like you get past that and then you go to the gym a second time that week, and it's a little bit easier, and then you get you do it 4 times or 3 or 4 times the following week, and then you get like this low addiction to like getting your health back in check, and then you get on a roll, right? You go and then you start making mental decisions about your lifestyle, because you don't want to put that in jeopardy. Like I haven't like for the last decade, I'd say I've probably had alcohol in my system twice a year, every year for the last decade. That's probably
Oh,
that's like just how I live now, you know, because I really value being healthy. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer for one reason or one method you can have to keep going through isolations. But that's what gets me through. That's my number one priority. But also what Devon said, have those goals, have those aspirations that you can work towards. Because if you are in isolation, it's a pretty unique period to get stuff done. You know,
mm.
like how often for 10 days do you spend at home, and you can spend that time how you want, largely. Like you we still have obligations, obviously, but yeah, it's
Manchester City needs number 5.
you can actually choose. Righto, Dev, over to you. We've got three, I think.
All right,
Two more, two
so
more.
we've got 2 more. One of the things that actually kept my partner Rebecca motivated during the lockdowns was so I talked about routine, but also kind of plays on the routine, but also plays on your health, and that's keeping your food the same. Um, so not suddenly being like, oh wow, I can go and bake all this food, because we did that first lockdown, and I put on like 5 kilos within 2 weeks because the amount of baking that got cooked in that flat I was in, and we went, oh no, like our stomach started playing up. So I reckon keeping consistent. So not just like you've got your routine, which needs to stay the same, but you also need to stay consistent on the other side. And then self-care. The other one is self-care. So keep cutting your hair, whether you do it yourself or maybe if you like have decent hair, maybe wait till you see a hairdresser. But if you've got a beard like me, don't let it come out all bushy. Keep showering every morning. Get out of your pajamas. Don't sit in your pajamas all day because that just makes you feel like you're at home. You're being lazy. Dress up like you're going to go out, go see someone. So make yourself feel like you're getting out and about. And yeah, so I guess that's our 5. You've got self-care, you've got exercise, you've got set yourself some goals, keep a routine, and consistency.
I've got a bonus one. I've just thought one that really got me through. Okay, this is because we took a long time. I'll give you one for free, Matt. So what I found during the first lockdown was I had all the spare time at home on my hands, and I decided to learn a skill because I had YouTube. YouTube has all the answers you could ever hope for and more. Sometimes it's not good advice, but a lot of the time you can find out the good stuff. So I went on YouTube and I learned how to build websites because I thought that's a pretty handy skill to have in this technological age. And yeah, it was amazing. Like there's some really cool skills that you can learn for absolutely nothing. And if you've got time on your hands, then you can come out of lockdown feeling productive as ever, and then you have another skill to offer the market. So yeah, I think that's our top 6, Matt. Hopefully that helps.
So there it is.
Cool. Well, we've been going for an hour 16. Before this podcast, Dev and I were like, okay, this is episode 1. How long should we go for? And we're like, well, there's a limit on the software. I think it's 12 hours. And so we thought, okay, we may not go that long. How about an hour? And we thought, it's probably too long. But then we decide on half an hour. Let's go 30 minutes. I think that's manageable for our first one. And boom, we've cracked it. We've really raised the bar on ourselves. We set half an hour limit. We underestimated how talkative we were and how much we miss talking to people in this isolated world we live in at the moment. But no, it's been a bloody pleasure. Yeah, Dev, it's been fun. Number 1, done and dusted. Optimistic.
See you on a fortnight.
Yeah, so we'll be pushing this out on a fortnightly basis. Hope that everyone enjoyed episode numero 1. Any last thoughts, Dev?
Yeah, if you got any topics that you guys want us to talk about, anything that's pressing that you think we might actually have some value to giving you, flick us a message or chuck up something in the comments. But yeah, both Jason and I are reachable via Messenger, Instagram, LinkedIn for Jason. I don't do LinkedIn. It's just not me.
But you do Instagram. Yeah. I don't do Instagram.
Do Instagram. Yeah. Check out my stories. Watch me lift.
Yeah, Devon's a bit of a beast in the gym. Isaac, just for FYI, we're doing this on a fortnightly basis. So yeah, check in Mondays 6 p.m. Sometimes we will be on, sometimes we won't because it will only be every second Monday. Or that's how we're going to roll it at the moment. But glad you enjoyed it, Isaac. Cheers for checking in. But yeah, done and dusted. Awesome. All right, team. We'll catch you in 2 weeks' time. Later.